looks like the
no,
Giants
so
won't be relevant in the West for at least another 14 years.
I don't know. I know that they signed Fernando Tatis. All their money is going to go to Tatis, Machado, and Machado's already going downhill quick.
You think so?
Especially he's in a ballpark that is not home run friendly, which is he's a power hitter. He's a good hitter. I'm not saying he's not, but his power is limited at Petco. And then Tatis is great. I love that guy, but I mean, who else are you going to have? I mean, San Diego, they're not a thriving franchise. I mean, yeah, they've been throwing a lot of money around lately, but let's say in a couple of years when some of the players go, what's their team going to be? They're not going to be able to get any depth in their bullpen. And their bullpen is not even that great as it is right now.
Well, I would bet the reason why they did this signing is because they probably have some prospects in their bullpen that they're high on.
Yeah. No, I understand that, but I don't believe that they're going to be that good because they've had to trade a lot of their picks. They've had to trade a lot of to get Manny Machado, they had to put a lot of money towards him. They had to put a lot of money towards, obviously, Fernando Tatis. They just got Joe Musgrove, who wasn't as cheap as you would think he is. They got Mike Clevin. I mean, they've traded a bunch of guys to get where they are, and they're going to be good, no question. But in like 5 years,
you think playoffs, right?
For them this year?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay, realistically, let's say that things go well with them. Their pitching is kind of there, and they're hitting. Obviously, they're not smashing home runs. They're not smashing home runs like the Yankees or anything like that, but they're a productive team. Yeah. How far do you think they go realistically?
I think realistically, God, my favorite for the World Series, I think, is the Dodgers again. I mean, that rotation is fucking stacked. It's ridiculous. I think realistically, the only team that I think that could rival the Dodgers is the Padres right now.
So, okay, are you thinking like NLDS? Are you thinking World Series? Where do you
I'm thinking NLCS.
Okay.
I don't think they can beat the Dodgers because now the Dodgers have that experience. And when you look at their rotation, like compare both rotations, the Dodgers have a stronger rotation and a rotation that you can trust versus the rotation between the Padres. That is a good.
Theirs hasn't been a team yet. I mean, they just traded everybody to put them all on one team. So,
yeah,
I will say though, I will kind of push back a little bit on your Machado take, where he's on a decline. He did hit over 300 in a shortened season. I will also say, and he only struck out 37 times. He only hit 16 home runs, but he was on base at least 26 times with just on walks. He had 68 hits. His slugging percentage was .580, and that was even higher than Fernando in terms of slugging percentage and average. The only thing that he had over him was home runs and steals. So I will say Machado is still up there. But
Machado in the regular season is good, but look at his postseason stats.
Yeah, he hit 154. I will say though, how often though did he get to the postseason when he was with?
No, I'm just talking about last year.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. I think it's also based on experience, don't you think? Like Machado has never been to the postseason, so this was his first. Or his.
No, he did. He was with the postseason with the Dodgers last year. So he was the veteran in that lineup, and he was probably one of the worst ones in the lineup. I'm telling you, Machado. I like Machado. If the Giants could get him today, I would get him. The issue is he's a good hitter, but he's not that great hitter. He's not that guy that's going to change a franchise. And that's why I think them putting that money towards him
Mm-hmm.
is going to be a big mistake, because he's not a great even with the Dodgers, he wasn't great in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
When it's clutch game time, he doesn't come up great. And another thing that he lost was he was a big stolen base guy in Baltimore. And I know when you get older and, they want to use you for your power more than your speed.
Mm-hmm.
But his stolen bases have gone drastically down over the years. And I think that was a big part of his game as well. I mean, it's still a scary lineup. I'm not saying Machado sucks. I think Machado will probably hit around like 290 this year, maybe 300. I don't think he will. I think he'll be around 290, but I mean, which is good. I mean, that's still where you want to be around. But I think overall, Tatis is a better player.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Machado is going to, I don't know, man. This lineup, now that I'm looking at it, it's not great.
Well, I mean,
Their pitching is stacked.
I think
when
it's
it comes to,
I think it's going to be a productive lineup, and when I say that, I mean like not home run getters, but I mean like they'll get on base. I think honestly, the last, I would say 4 or 5 years I've seen of baseball, I don't see a lot of teams other than the Yankees going for big home run like lineups. They're all kind of going for getting on base, and then we'll get you home in a statistical way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I think Machado is kind of stuck in between errors where he was known for power originally. Now he's trying to change over to being more of a contact hitter and getting on base. And you can see it's working, but like postseason, for example, I'm looking at his postseason batting right now. He's under 200 for 115 at bats. That's not very good.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's bad.
His best,
I didn't even know it was that bad.
His best at bat was one game in Baltimore in 2016, where he went 1 for 4 and he had a 250 average. Outside of that, he was with the Dodgers, obviously, in 2018. In 16 postseason games, he only hit 227, but he struck out 18 times.
Yeah.
Out of 66
his strikeouts have gone way up, which is a concern. But in this day and era of baseball, it's not that big of a deal. Right. But when you're striking out that much and not hitting as much as you used to, that to me is an issue. I mean, he had 16 home runs, which is great in a
shortened season.
What was it? 60 game season?
Yeah, and he played all 60 games. I will say that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not an issue of is he healthy? He's usually healthy. It's rare that he's injured, but he's a good player. I would say he's a great player, but I wouldn't say he's one of those like elite players. He's someone you'd want on your team, but I think when he was in Baltimore, he was the franchise, but you saw how crappy the team was, So now he comes to the Dodgers and everyone was like, oh, and he wasn't even the best player on the Dodgers, And then he goes to the Padres and this guy Tatis takes over, you know what I mean? So